Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Vinyl Talk with Tavis. And I'm Tavis. Child, did you all see the Janet Jackson documentary on Lifetime? Listen, that was some good TV. Now, I must be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't go to my cable and watch Lifetime movies and all these things, HBO, Showtime, all those things that I used to do back in the day when I was younger. But when I found out that Janet Jackson was going to be showing this documentary on Lifetime, I had to watch it. And it did not let me down. Learned so many things. So many things. She was so candid. So many behind the scenes. Pardon me. So many things I didn't know. I love to see the behind the scenes when she was recording with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So let me just break it down. I don't want to stay on here too long, but I have I was just taking notes just so that I could remember what was going on. But I hope that you all saw it. And I think they're repeating it and showing it over and over again. But it was 2 nights. It started last night on Friday and then today on Saturday night. And each night was 2 hours. So it was a 4-hour documentary. I just loved it. Okay, so let me post down below if you did see it. So I'm going to take my time, but I don't want this video to run 2 hours. So here we go. It starts out, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to hear what's going on, you may want to stop this video. But I did hear from some people who said that they were in another country and they couldn't see it or it wasn't going to come on. So maybe this is for you. It starts out with her going back to Gary, Indiana. And she said she hadn't been there, I think she said 8 years. And she's driving through the town and she's talking about how she just wanted to do this because she was tired of all the crazy rumors and the unauthorized biographies about her life that she did not put her stamp of approval on, which makes perfect sense, you know. And of course, I knew that in this documentary, I knew that I would cry or laugh, or cry and laugh and have all types of emotions. But I tell you, I started crying right at the first get-go because she's going through Gary, Indiana. And she starts crying after she sees a mural of her brothers, the Jackson 5, in their heyday. And it's just a beautiful mural of all of them looking up in the sky. And she's like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. And all of her brothers are looking up in the sky, and except Michael. He's looking straight ahead. And she starts laughing at that. That was very touching. So we know that Janet Jackson is the youngest of the Jackson family. And we found out that Randy and her and Michael were the closest in the family. And now that Michael is gone, may he rest in peace continually, her and Randy are very, very close. It seems like a very, very good relationship. Let me see. Oh, she visits her home when she was a little girl. And the house, I think, is 670 square feet at that time. And it's still up. And I think it still has their pictures and the furniture they had there at the time. I guess it's a monument. I'm not sure, but I wonder if people can actually visit, or is it something that people go to visit and pay money for to visit? I'm not sure. But there were 9 kids in the family. And they all slept, and they all ate, and they entertained each other, and were raised in that small home, all 9 of them. And Randy asked Janet, do you remember where you slept? She said, I have no clue. She didn't know because she was very, very young. I think they moved out when she was I'm not really sure. But she moved out, and she's not really familiar with the home. But she slept on the couch or something like that. And her brothers, all 6 of her brothers, slept in a room with bunk beds. So what a situation that was. Imagine that. because I always had my own bedroom. My sister had her bedroom. I could not imagine sharing my bed with with all these boys. But that's another story. Well, anyway, let me see. I have my notes here. It says that her mother, I didn't know this. So you learn a lot watching this. Get out of that. This is Jimmy Mack. He's trying to drink my Pepsi. Listen. When I'm doing a video, why are you always up on me? Say hello to the people again. Get down. Oh, I love him, but man. Anyway, her mother worked at Sears and her dad worked at the steel mill. And he said that their talent would be their way out of Gary, Indiana. He saw, or the mother saw the talent in them, and their daddy pushed them to rehearse. In 1968, that's when the Jacksons auditioned for Motown, for Berry Gordy. And I started tearing up when I saw Michael Jackson. You know, it's amazing how much great showmanship they had at that time. Their daddy worked them so hard to have that, so much charisma and so much talent at that age, all of them together. And it was just, it was amazing. They were so polished. And their mom made their costumes because Janet asked her mother, where'd they get these costumes from? Well, how would they dress like that? Because, you know, the 70s, they had big afros, everything was so colorful. And the mom said, Miss Jackson said, I made those costumes. She said it was hard, but I knew that it would be for a great cause, you know, for them performing. Janet Jackson gives her father much credit to their success. And Randy speaks very highly of his father because, you know, later in the years, we had heard that Joe Jackson was so mean to them. And even Michael Jackson said in that crazy documentary that he got in trouble with, he said that his father would call him names, that would beat him and stuff like that. It's like, who do you believe? But I believe Janet. You know, she says that her father worked them hard and she wouldn't take anything back because it made her become who she is today. The boys, what did I write? The boys resented. Yes, the boys resented the rehearsal process that was dictated by Joe. And Michael mentioned that many times he missed his childhood because of that. And I remember Michael Jackson talking about that. Remember? But Joe wanted a better life for his kids. And another thing that really got me was that Janet said that she never really experienced her father the way she wanted to. Get away from that, I tell you. Excuse me, y'all. Get away. You messing with the camera now? Oh, my heavens. Janet never experienced her father the way she wanted to. You know, other kids were, you know, their fathers were going out with them and playing games. But when their dad was at work, all the boys would go outside and play because mom said, go outside and play. But when they saw Joe Jackson coming in, they said, come in the house, Dad's coming. We got to start practicing. I mean, that was something. I didn't know that. You know, it's said that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So Joe was very driven to make sure that those boys stayed busy, and he didn't want them to be around any negative influences. And so I really don't blame him. You know, I mean, my father was strict in a way. You know, he made sure that I did my chores, and I didn't get much of a, what do you call it? I didn't get much allowance. I mean, if I got allowance, I'd be surprised. But it was just expected of me to do what he said to do. And I did it. Well, sometimes I didn't, but I did the best that I could do. Janet because of her brother's success, she really didn't know where she fit in. And that makes sense. You know, her brothers were popular and they were A, B, C. I mean, they were doing all these great things and she didn't know where she fit in. But she soon got her way into the family and they performed in Vegas and Janet became part of the group. And she was scared at first, but she got over it. Then it goes to when Janet started on Good Times. And I never will forget when, I remember when Janet was on Good Times, when it first aired. I was scared of that particular episode. When, you know, who remembers Tootie from Facts of Life? Kim Fields? Kim Fields' mom played Janet Jackson's mom on Good Times. And she was abusive to Janet in Good Times. I think Lord, that when I look at that now, I still get the same feelings I got when I was a boy. That lady would burn Janet with an iron. Oh my God! It shows her back when she was burned. Now this is on the episode of Good Times, and Rolona, the neighbor of the Good Times family, she adopts Janet and takes her away from her abusive mother. That was an issue. And when Janet was like, "Oh, Mommy, I'm sorry," and her mother's ironing, and she picks up that iron and she starts going after Janet with that iron. And I was a little boy, you know, I was like scared. I'm like, what's going on? But Janet said a really touching thing. She said, discipline without love is tyranny. Discipline without love is tyranny. And tyrants, they were not. Speaking about her mother and father. Unlike her mother being played in Good Times. That was really something. That was a great quote. And I'm going to keep that in my quote book. I didn't know that Janet actually wanted to go to college and study business law. But her father said no. Joe said no. He's like, we got a money train going here and you're going to get on board because we need all the money we can get. Man, Joe was something else. I do remember when Janet Jackson, you know, she started recording her first solo album and she was on American Bandstand at 18 years old. I remember that. And it was just so colorful and bright and the music was popish. You could just dance to it really good. And those were some great times. And I remember the cassettes that my uncle had when Janet Jackson first came out with her album. And I would listen to those cassettes and man, that was some very good music. I mean, I don't own her first or second album. I started out with Control, which I have here. I was ready. This is a vinyl channel, so I must show my vinyl. Then I do remember when, who knows DeBarge out there, you know, Bobby DeBarge, who sadly passed away of AIDS later on in the 90s, I believe. He was in love with Janet's sister, LaToya. Okay. And so that helped Janet be introduced to James DeBarge, which is Bobby's brother. And they started dating. And Janet was like, I'm in love with this guy. And they got married in secret. And she let the cat out the bag. I remember hearing the rumors about that in the day. Never really sure if it was true or not. But now I know, Janet said it. Yeah, we got married. And she says that she doesn't understand, but she seemed to be attracted to people who had major issues. She was always attracted to people who were on drugs. Or at least she would find out later down the line that, what's wrong? You're different. And then she'd find out that they'd be on drugs. Boom! That was just like, man, Janet, she was so candid in this documentary. You got to watch it. Now, then I remember in the 80s watching Fame. Of course, the movie came out, Fame, and then they did a TV series of Fame, and Janet was on Fame. And I kind of remember at that time that I didn't really understand or care for her character. To me, it just seemed like she was there because she was a Jackson. You know, all the other people in the show, I don't think were very popular or famous, but they were famous because they were on Fame. And of course, Debbie Allen, the great dancer, choreographer extraordinaire, the sister of Felicia Rashad from Bill Cosby, The Cosby Show. She played the wife of Bill Cosby. Of course, she was popular, Debbie Allen. But when Janet came on, it was like, wow, she's the most famous person in this cast. Is she there because she's a Jackson? And she did not want to do it. She did not want to be on Fame because she was in love with James DeBarge. And she wanted to spend all of her time with him. And she would be late for shootings. And she just said, I was just so in love. And I would be thinking about him. And then after my acting time was over, I'd be waiting for James for hours to pick me up because he was gone. He was doing drugs. Man, that was James. Janet really, she told a lot. I said, James, I see here that James was doing drugs, but she really loved him. And they had a divorce after a year of marriage. Do I have a stain on? I keep seeing this stain on this pillow. Must be that cat. Let me put it down here. Yeah, that's better. Y'all excuse me. Excuse this mess. It's like this documentary was very therapeutic for her. That's what it seemed to me. It seems like this is something she really felt like she had to do. Then there came a situation in which people thought that she had a secret baby because she started gaining weight during her fame. Not her being famous, but she gained weight while being on the show Fame. And people thought that she had a secret baby with James DeBarge. She says, that's not true. I never had a baby at that time. People thought that Rebe Jackson, who I love, her older sister, Rebe Jackson, who I love, I used to love, I still do. I love this song, Centipede. They said that Rebe has the baby. Rebe was taking care of the baby. But she said, no, I was taking birth control pills. And at that time, the birth control pills cause weight gain. So that's what you were seeing. So she set that record straight. And that was something to hear. Wow. Then, do I have these in order? Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm fine. Then, okay, this is like 82, 83. Then Thriller hits. So Janet Jackson's on Fame and Thriller hits. And then she says that's when a shift began to happen with her and Michael's relationship because they were very, 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 very close. A shift began to happen. She could see it because his fame was phenomenal, or it was becoming phenomenal. He had done Off the Wall. Then he started doing Thriller. And it was like, he's not the same. And then she began to work on her album Control because she wanted to take control of her life. Her father was her manager for so many years. And she said, I'm not doing what I love. I need to take control. So it's amazing how that album epitomizes her actual feelings at the time. It wasn't just music that they said, okay, we want you to record this song. We want you to record this song. No, she thought out what she wanted to sing. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were very thoughtful on how they listened to the conversations that they would have with her and create titles and lyrics around their conversations. Really cool, very clever of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Much credit to them. Now, let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. This is 20 minutes in. Okay. I loved, after she had that Control album, it was just the bomb. Then it began to show some behind the scenes of making Rhythm Nation. And there's a great part in which Janet is just fed up with Jimmy Jam during her session, because he's wanting her to sing better. And, you know, I think she's still in love and she's trying to get her life together and blah, blah, blah. And she's not giving it her all in the recording studio. And Jimmy Jam keeps telling her to sing better, start again, do it again. And she's like, what do you want me? I think I'm doing it great. And then they would laugh when she was singing. And she said, why are you laughing? What am I doing wrong? It showed it. There was a video clip. And I was like, wow. So, you know, everything is not, just because you have the finished product of something, you don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. What a record, y'all. What a release when this came out. 1989. Oh my God. And she was trailing her brother's fame. I can only imagine. It says Janet and, then she started dating a guy, Renee, because she broke up, of course, with James DeBarge. And she started dating this guy, Renee. I wasn't too familiar with him at the time, but they eventually got married, and Rhythm Nation hit, and it was just another phenomenal hit. It just took it to the next level. It had 7 top 5 singles. She got the Hollywood Walk of Fame. What an amazing career she has had. She was the highest paid recording artist with Virgin Records, because is this on Virgin Records? Yeah, she was with A&M for the longest, and then when all of her success hit, she went to another record company. It was just like a bidding war. We want her. We want her. And she finally got with Virgin Records, and she was the highest paid recording artist at the time. Then she did the movie Poetic Justice with Tupac. She was so beautiful in that movie. Those long braids, man. Tupac and Janet, to me, when I watch the movie even now, you can sense the chemistry they had. And Tupac said he really enjoyed those kissing scenes with Janet. Tupac was a mess. I felt that chemistry. I really did. Excuse me. And then, you know, she used to wear all black, and she was all covered up, and she was, you know, kind of I wouldn't say overweight, but she was kind of a thick girl. But she started to become more sensual and sexy, I noticed, during these later 80s times. And I sensed that change. I saw the change. We all did. You know, me and my friends would say, ooh, Janet's looking good. She's showing more skin, you know, and it was really phenomenal to see that. But at that time, I was really into the church, and I had a very religious mindset. So I kind of started breaking away from listening to secular music. And so I didn't really get involved in her music after Rhythm Nation. Now I love it, because I'm through with all that dogma in my life, that religious dogma. But I do remember seeing the change. I'm like, she's growing up. She's becoming a woman, or she is a woman, and she wants to show it in that way that she feels is appropriate and best for her. And then it talks about how she did that great photo shoot with Rolling Stone with that guy, you know, holding her breasts. Guess who that person was? Always wanted to know who it was. It was Renee, the boyfriend, the guy she was seeing at the time. Oh my God, I never knew that. Spoiler alert, I told you. And her family was not happy with that photo shoot. Her mom despised it. Rebe Jackson hated it. Rebe Jackson disclosed that, Rebe Jackson is on there a lot, giving her interview. She said that she was a Bible student. I never knew that. I never knew that. Learned so much. Then she's big. She's blowing up, and Coca-Cola wants her to endorse their product. Now, we know that Pepsi was endorsed by Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, and those great commercials of him and his brothers dancing with Alfonso Ribeira, I believe. a great, commercial. And, Michael Jackson gets his hair burned. We are the Pepsi generation. Boom. And his hair catches on fire. So that's another story. But she was about to sign a Coca-Cola deal to be an endorser of that product. Then in 1993, those allegations of Michael Jackson came up. And Coca-Cola said, no, thank you. I never knew that. Janet said she was guilty by association. And she said Michael Jackson was going through all this stuff, and she wore the scarlet letters of MJ on her. Just because she was Michael Jackson's sister, a lot of people kept saying no to her. And she went through a lot. But she said her and her family really gathered around Michael Jackson during this time. Of course you would. Your family. You gather around your family, especially if you're a loving family, caring family. And she said that's what they were, and that's what they are. But she was shocked, and to me, it seemed like she wasn't very happy that Michael Jackson gave all that money to the family who made those allegations. She says he just wanted it to go away. He just wanted that to go away, so he settled and gave the family, I think, was it $20 million? I could be wrong. Please put in the comments if I'm wrong. But she says that she really wished Michael would have showed who he really was. But honestly, he did. He made all those TV appearances. I remember watching when he made that announcement on television in '93, and he's speaking in that, I think he had a red shirt on. And he's saying, that is not me. That's not who I am. I don't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, my God. It totally changed my perception of him and artists in general, because all we see, at least back in the day when there was no social media, all we see are the phenomenal photoshopped photos. Photoshop wasn't there back then. But we see the beautiful photos of people. We look at the liner notes, and that's all we know about their lives. Unless you look at the inquirers in the stands at the grocery store and whatnot. But it's not what it seems to be. Everything is not as polished. That's what I got from this. Just because you have lots of money and you're very talented and you can get anything you want, you have much influence, people love you, there are the negative sides to it all. There are many opportunists out there who want to be around you, not because of you, but because of what you can do for them. And that's what Janet encountered. After those allegations, a few years passed, and Michael Jackson wanted to do Scream. He wanted to get together with his sister, Janet, to do Scream. And she said that was a very hard project to do. I never thought that. I thought it was an easy thing. But she said no. But she wanted to support him. And during that time, she felt like he was very shielded with his people. He had his, what do you call it? The people who, enablers. He had his enablers around him, and she just felt like she was disconnected from him during the filming of that video. Like, wow, I never knew that. And how was that after Michael's vocals? I don't know what that means. But it cost $7 million, she said, to do that video. It was supposed to be a 3-day shoot for Scream. She said she don't know how long it took to do. She don't know how long it took to make that video. Old time had passed during the video. The video was hard to make. That's what she said. And then later she said, we came to Michael's house one day, and she said, I thought it would be a great idea if the Jacksons reunited, had a reunion tour, and I would open for them. But she said Michael was in such a strange state of mind because of those allegations that he just didn't want she said he didn't say nothing. And it just kind of went away. It kind of fizzled, that idea. But wouldn't that have been great to have Janet Jackson open for her brothers? I mean, to me, it wouldn't even been an opener. It would have been just Janet Jackson and Janet Jackson and the Jacksons. How can Janet Jackson open for her brothers? Well, she'd be the first act, but still, it wouldn't seem like an opening act. It would just seem like the concert is just the Jacksons. But still, she said she wanted to do that, but Michael didn't seem very interested. And she says people separated him from the family. Now, she doesn't go into detail about his skin change and all that. She really focuses on her, which is good. Now, then she begins to talk about The Velvet Rope, which she said is the hardest album she had to write. She didn't really I didn't really like the music at the time. After Rhythm Nation, I wasn't really into Janet Jackson until she came back with All For You. But what I got from watching that documentary was that, there are so many controlling people in this world. And Renee, her boyfriend at the time, I think her husband at the time, he became very controlling. It became kind of a toxic relationship. Now, that's what I'm saying. She didn't say that. But she said he was kind of controlling, and it made me think about some relationships that I had in the past in which the people I would date and the people that I liked, they would say certain things to me, and I'd rather be single than to have to feel like I need someone around me to make me feel bad. You understand what I'm saying? Why would you want to be around somebody just to have somebody around when you're going to feel bad when you're around them? I'd rather feel bad alone than to feel bad with somebody in my life that makes me feel even worse. Actually, I feel fantastic being alone. I love the single life. I love it. I loved it before the cat. The cat is just, he does his own thing, blah, 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 and I just feed him, hug him, but I don't have to deal with a bunch of bull crap with somebody in my life telling me what to do. So if I fall in love, it's going to be with someone who I know loves me for me and loves themselves, and they know that I'm not going to control you, and I don't expect you to control me. That's what I like. And she began to understand that. All For You was the bomb. That video, she looks so good in that video. She looks so beautiful. And her smile, oh my God. Janet Jackson, even now at 54. Alexa, how old is Janet Jackson?
Janet Jackson is 55 years old.
Still beautiful. Still absolutely gorgeous. Still beautiful. Still. She's gained a little weight. She said she's had trouble with some weight issues. She said that when she goes through situations, she eats. There's a lot of people that do that. But during this time, during the 90s, she was really thin, and boy, she was really in shape. And she said Renee, her husband at the time, said, you know what? You need to look like this when you go out. He was telling her things like that. When you go to the store, I want you to look like you look in those videos. Can you imagine that? Renee, are you watching? What? You crazy telling her that? She can dress the way she wants to. My God, these folks are crazy. Then she met Jermaine Dupri. This is later on down the line. She met Jermaine Dupri. I don't really like his music. Sorry. I don't care for all that. But she met him, and she said that she really loved him, and they were together. Never got married, but they were together longer than any of the marriages that she had before. And then it gets to the part that I was waiting on. Nipplegate. 2004. I remember. Y'all, I'm almost done. I'm going to make it quick. I'm going to keep going. I remember I was in my apartment. I was cooking some chicken. And I had the Super Bowl on because I knew Janet Jackson was going to be on there. And I knew Justin Timberlake was going to be on there. And first of all, what in the world was he wearing when he was performing? He looked like he came off a job. Looked like he came off a roofing job. What kind of clothes did he have on during that performance? Anyway, I was so excited. I mean, the whole performance was great. Justin, he sang his behind off. Janet was singing. She was dancing. And then right at the end, I was waiting for that ending pose. Going to meet you at the end of this song. Boom! And then he rips. And I was like the whole world. The night the whole world watched a nipple, as if they never seen a nipple before. But still, it was a big deal. And the Passion of the Christ was out at that time. You know, people were really gathering around that movie and loving Jesus. And then that happened. I remember going to work the next day. That's all they talked about was seeing Janet Jackson's nipple. But Janet Jackson, she cried. They said afterwards she cried. Jermaine Dupri, he said it was just a bad situation. It was bad, bad, bad. But it goes to show, it's like, I'll use this analogy. It's like when a woman is pregnant. If a woman who's not married, especially for families very religious, when the woman or a girl gets pregnant and there's the evidence of her pregnancy because she's getting bigger and you see it. But what about the guy who impregnated her? He never gets the bad rap, it seems, as much as he should. So they had the Grammys and Janet Jackson was disinvited because of that situation. And Justin, he came. Little Justin, he came. Justin Timberlake, I love you with NSYNC. Love your solo album, whatever. But that was, I was not happy with that. I wouldn't have come to the Grammys, Justin. I would have given justice to Janet and said, I'm not coming. If you disinvited Janet, I'm not coming either. That's my thought on it. But he didn't get much flack from it. And I was not too happy about that. I was not happy at all. And at that time, Michael and Janet were having issues because she had the Nipplegate issue. Michael Jackson had the allegations of being a pedophile. It was really something. And it tore our hearts apart, the big fans of those people. And I still love them today, but it tore my heart apart during that time. But I was glad that Jermaine Dupri was in Janet's life during that time. He really helped her out. It says Jermaine was blank with all the women. Oh, the reason why Jermaine Dupri and Janet's relationship didn't work is because he said, Janet Jackson, when you're dating Janet Jackson, there's a lot of women around. So, and he wasn't really as famous as her at the time. He said he was cheating. Well, Janet said he was cheating. He said he was reckless. Janet said that he was cheating, and she just couldn't deal with that. And Jermaine said, yeah, I was reckless, and I should have tried harder, but I didn't. But I hear that they're still great friends. And I want to back up and say that Janet and Justin, she said, are still friends. So that's something to take neither here or there. Now, Janet Jackson was doing the movie for Tyler Perry. She was doing Why Did I Get Married 2? He had done the first one and they did the second one in 2009. And that's when Michael Jackson passed away. So that was a very devastating, I never will forget that, y'all. When Michael Jackson passed away, I was in my bed and I was really just getting into Facebook, and I was checking my Facebook. You check your Facebook status and all that, and then I saw, Michael Jackson's dead. And I ran to the television. I ran to the television and saw on CNN that Michael Jackson had died. Tore my heart apart. Oh my God. I was crying because, the greatest of all time. I mean, the man was so popular. I don't think there's anyone in these days and times who is popular as Michael Jackson. I just don't see it. The things that he did, the music he made, he just ruled the 80s. He ruled the 80s. And those were the times that I really, really fell in love with music. That was a hard thing for her, she said. Then it fast forwards. Well, I'm going to fast forward to her album Unbreakable. She was doing a concert tour and she was coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where I lived at the time. And I bought tickets to go. And then she announces that she's pregnant and she has to stop the tour. And I had already paid for the tickets. And I'd never seen her in concert. I was going to be so happy. But no, she canceled and I got my money back. But I did get a nice t-shirt and got the record and the CD and all that. But yeah, that was a good documentary. And now it ended with her talking about her son, Issa. I'm kind of shocked that she didn't talk about the guy that she had Issa by. She didn't go into detail about the man that she was with to have Issa. But she says that her role now is to be a very good mother. And all of her family, at least the ones that were on the documentary, they say that she is a fantastic mother. So everyone, if you've not seen the documentary, if you've not seen it, oh, you need to see it. Janet, I love you so much if you're watching. Janet, it's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. Yes, it's all for you, baby. All for you. That documentary deserves to get some type of Emmy. I don't care what they say. This is her Unbreakable album. I think she's working on another record, but that COVID hit, and so I don't know what happened. I think this is going to be called Black Diamond. She was going to do a Black Diamond tour or something like that, but I don't know what's going to happen, but she's left her legacy. She doesn't have to make, if she doesn't make any more records, if you don't make any more records, Janet, you've done enough. You're 54, 55 years old. We love you. Oh, we love you so much. I do. If you're a Janet Jackson fan, please like and comment, subscribe to my channel. This is Tavis Minner, and as always, with music and with great documentaries, be inspired and stay inspired.